Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about something that can completely change your health, your energy, and even your brain function. And that's this simple idea: feed your cells, not your cravings. Cravings are one of the most misunderstood parts of human nutrition. Most people think cravings mean a lack of willpower, that they simply cannot control themselves around food. But the truth is far deeper than that. Cravings are not psychological weakness. They are chemical messages driven by hormones and brain chemistry that have been hijacked by years of refined food and sugar consumption. Every time you eat something high in sugar or refined carbohydrates, your body releases insulin to pull that sugar out of your bloodstream. Insulin's job is to move glucose into the cells for energy or storage. But when you eat these foods repeatedly, insulin levels remain high, and over time, your cells stop responding properly. This is called an insulin resistance. When your cells resist insulin, they can no longer efficiently absorb fuel, so your blood sugar drops faster than it should. The brain senses this sudden drop and interprets it as an emergency. It triggers hunger signals and cravings, especially for fast absorbing carbohydrates that can quickly bring blood sugar back up. That is why cravings almost always show up a few hours after a high carb meal or snack. It is a biochemical rebound effect, not a failure of character. Sugar and refined carbs also activate the brain's dopamine system, the same pathway involved in pleasure and reward. When you eat something sweet, dopamine surges and you feel a momentary sense of satisfaction, but the brain quickly adapts, lowering dopamine receptors and leaving you feeling a little emptier each time you start to need more of that food to get the same emotional effect. This is the same mechanism that drives addiction to substances like caffeine or alcohol. Food manufacturers understand this perfectly. They engineer products to hit the exact bliss point, the precise ratio of sugar, fat, and salt that lights up your brain's reward centers. Once those signals are triggered, your rational mind is overruled. It's not about willpower anymore, it's chemistry. If you constantly feed these cravings, insulin stays high, dopamine stays unstable, and your energy levels swing up and down all day long. You may notice that mid-morning crash, the afternoon slump, the irritability when meals are delayed. These are not random mood shifts. They are the physical results of unstable blood sugar and hormone imbalances. Your body is simply doing what it was designed to do: protect you from perceived starvation. It thinks you are in danger, so it pushes you to eat again. The problem is the foods you reach for to relieve that discomfort, snacks, bread, sweets, only restart the cycle. Breaking this pattern requires understanding what your body is really asking for. When your brain sends out cravings, it's not truly asking for sugar, it's asking for energy and nutrients. The body craves fuel that works, but modern food tricks it into chasing quick fixes. The key to calming cravings is to lower insulin naturally and provide real nutrition so your cells no longer scream for help. When you shift to whole foods, especially those rich in healthy fats and minerals, your blood sugar becomes stable, the dopamine roller coaster flattens out, and cravings fade because your body is finally satisfied at the cellular level. Eating nutrient-dense meals reduces the chemical triggers that cause you to feel out of control. The process is gradual, but within days you notice something powerful. You stop thinking about food all the time. You feel in charge again, not because you're forcing yourself to resist temptation, but because your body and brain are finally on the same team. Cravings aren't moral failures, they're misfired survival signals. Once you restore balance to insulin and dopamine, the noise quiets, and real hunger, the kind that comes from your body's genuine need for fuel, begins to guide you naturally. Insulin resistance is one of the most silent yet powerful conditions affecting millions of people today, and it lies at the center of why so many feel fatigued, inflamed, and unable to lose weight even when they eat less. Most people think that eating more food automatically means the body is well nourished, but the truth is that many are overfed and yet undernourished at the cellular level. Insulin resistance is the key reason behind this paradox. Every time you eat, especially foods high in carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises, and the pancreas releases insulin to move that sugar into the cells for energy. Insulin acts like a key, unlocking the cell membrane to let glucose in. However, when the diet is dominated by refined foods and frequent eating, insulin levels stay high for long periods. The constant presence of insulin makes the cells less responsive over time. Like a door lock that becomes jammed from overuse, the body must then produce even more insulin to force glucose into the cells. Eventually, this system wears down, and while the blood is full of sugar and nutrients, the cells can no longer absorb them effectively. The result is a body that looks well fed on the outside, but is starving on the inside. When cells become resistant to insulin, they are deprived of key nutrients such as potassium, magnesium, and B vitamins, all of which are essential for energy production and metabolic health. This cellular starvation leads to fatigue, brain fog, muscle weakness, and cravings for quick energy sources like sugar. The irony is that the more you feed these cravings, the worse the resistance becomes. High insulin not only blocks nutrient absorption, but also locks fat inside fat cells, preventing your body from using stored energy. That's why people with insulin resistance often feel hungry even after eating. Their cells are begging for fuel they cannot access. It is like having a house full of food with the doors locked shut. The nutrients are present, but they're unavailable where they're needed most. Over time, this imbalance leads to deeper issues: weight gain around the belly, high blood pressure, fatigue, and inflammation. The body starts to store more fat as a survival response, believing it's in a constant state of scarcity. The liver also suffers under this condition. When insulin levels stay high, the liver begins to convert excess glucose into fat, leading to fatty liver disease. This further impairs the body's ability to regulate metabolism, worsening the nutrient deficiency inside the cells. The brain is affected too. As it becomes deprived of energy, you might feel mentally drained or forgetful even though you've eaten plenty. The more the cells starve, the louder the hunger signals get. And that's when people find themselves trapped in a constant cycle of eating without satisfaction. The fatigue pushes them to reach for stimulants like caffeine or sugar, which provide temporary relief but ultimately deepen the cellular nutrient gap. The first step to reversing this state is to calm insulin down. This happens when you reduce the frequency of eating and shift toward foods that don't spike blood sugar. Leafy greens, healthy fats, and quality proteins give your body what it truly needs without overwhelming insulin production. As insulin levels drop, the cells slowly regain sensitivity. The doors begin to open again, allowing glucose and nutrients to enter. Over time, you notice energy returning, cravings disappearing, and mental clarity improving. The body starts burning stored fat for fuel instead of relying on constant sugar intake. True nourishment happens not when you eat more food, but when your cells can actually use what you eat. Insulin resistance is not just a problem of sugar, it is a problem of communication between your hormones and your cells. When you restore that communication, every system in the body begins to function properly again. The key is not to overfeed your body, but to nourish your cells so they no longer live in a state of starvation surrounded by abundance. Most people have been taught to focus on calories as the ultimate measure of health, weight control, and energy, but the truth is that your body doesn't run on calories, it runs on nutrients. The calorie model oversimplifies the complex biology of human metabolism. Two meals can have the same calorie count yet produce completely different effects inside your body. One can create inflammation, cravings, and fatigue, while the other can build energy, strength, and mental clarity. The difference lies in nutrient density. Nutrient density refers to the concentration of vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and antioxidants per calorie of food. When your diet is rich in nutrient-dense foods, your cells receive the building blocks they need to function, repair, and thrive. When your diet is full of processed, low-nutrient foods, your body might be full, but your cells remain hungry. This is why people can eat large amounts of food and still feel tired or unsatisfied afterward. The body isn't craving more calories, it's craving nutrients that are missing. When you eat refined carbohydrates and sugary foods, you may get a quick boost of energy, but it's temporary and shallow. These foods are empty. They lack potassium, magnesium, trace minerals, and essential fatty acids. Without these nutrients, your metabolism cannot run smoothly, your brain chemistry becomes unstable, and your hormonal balance shifts in the wrong direction. Over time, nutrient deficiencies lead to insulin resistance, fatigue, and a slowed metabolism. On the other hand, nutrient-dense foods like leafy greens, eggs, fatty fish, cruciferous vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grass-fed meats are packed with the essential compounds your cells depend on. These foods stabilize blood sugar, support detoxification, and improve brain function. They also keep you satisfied longer because when your nutritional needs are met, hunger naturally subsides. That's why people who switch to a nutrient-rich diet often find themselves eating less without even trying. Their body no longer sends false hunger signals because it finally has what it needs. The emphasis on calorie counting has led people to fear fats, avoid whole foods, and rely on diet products that promise weight loss but deliver no nourishment. Low-fat snacks, artificial sweeteners, and diet sodas may reduce calorie intake on paper, but they increase cravings and disrupt metabolism. Real food doesn't come with ingredient lists or barcodes, it comes from the earth. When you eat nutrient-dense foods, your body recalibrates, your insulin levels stabilize, your brain fog lifts, and your energy becomes steady throughout the day. Nutrients like potassium, magnesium, zinc, and B vitamins are cofactors in hundreds of metabolic reactions that keep your system working properly. Without them, Your body is like a factory missing key parts. It cannot produce the energy you expect, no matter how many calories you consume. There's also an emotional component to this. Many people eat to feel better, not realizing that mood, energy, and emotions are heavily influenced by what the body is made of. Neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine depend on nutrients from food to be produced. When you lack those nutrients, your mood drops, leading to emotional eating. This cycle keeps you trapped between calorie restriction and craving satisfaction, and neither approach addresses the root cause. Feeding your cells breaks that cycle. It gives your brain the raw materials it needs to create balance and stability. Over time, you start to crave differently, not for sugar or chips, but for foods that make you feel good after eating them. You start to trust your body's signals again because they become accurate. Real hunger replaces false cravings. The most powerful shift happens when you stop thinking of food as numbers and start thinking of it as information. Every bite tells your body something. It either triggers healing or inflammation, repair or stress. The goal is to eat foods that send the right signals. When you feed your cells with nutrient-dense food, your metabolism wakes up, your body becomes efficient, and your mind clears. Calories lose their grip because your body no longer needs constant external fuel. True energy doesn't come from counting what you eat, but from nourishing every cell so it can do its job properly. The human body was never designed to eat around the clock. For most of human history, food wasn't constantly available and periods of fasting were natural. Today, we live in a world of abundance with snacks and meals available at every turn. And we've been taught that eating frequently keeps metabolism high, but that idea has created the opposite effect. Eating too often keeps insulin levels elevated, and when insulin is high, fat burning shuts off. Insulin is the hormone that stores energy, and every time you eat, even a small snack or a sugary drink, it signals your body to store, not burn. Over time, constant eating traps your body in storage mode. You might think you're fueling your body, but you're really blocking your ability to tap into your stored energy reserves. That's why people who snack all day often feel tired, bloated, or hungry shortly after eating. Their bodies are addicted to a constant supply of quick energy because fat metabolism is turned off. When you start eating less often, your body begins to reset its natural rhythm. Intermittent fasting is not starvation, it's giving your system a break from digestion so it can switch into repair mode. Between meals, when insulin levels drop, the body shifts to burning stored fat for fuel. This process produces ketones, which provide clean, stable energy for both the brain and the muscles. Instead of relying on sugar spikes and crashes, your energy becomes consistent throughout the day. At the same time, fasting triggers a powerful process called autophagy, in which your cells clean out old, damaged components and rebuild themselves with fresh materials. It's like a deep internal cleansing that enhances longevity, reduces inflammation, and sharpens mental clarity. People who begin eating less often report improved focus and mood because their brain chemistry stabilizes when insulin is not constantly fluctuating. Frequent eating also stresses the digestive system. The body spends a tremendous amount of energy breaking down food, and when you're constantly feeding, that system never gets a chance to rest or heal. This can lead to bloating, indigestion, and fatigue after meals. By spacing out your eating windows, digestion improves naturally. Nutrient absorption becomes more efficient because your gut lining has time to repair between meals. This is especially important for people dealing with insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome, as fasting helps restore sensitivity to insulin. When insulin becomes more efficient, your cells can absorb nutrients better and your energy production increases. It's not just about skipping meals, it's about teaching your body to operate the way it was intended, to store when food is available and to burn when it's not. One of the biggest fears people have about fasting is hunger. In the beginning, hunger signals can feel intense because the body is used to running on sugar. But as soon as you adapt to burning fat, those hunger pangs fade. Your body learns to pull energy from its own reserves, and you no longer feel desperate for food. You become more in control, not because you're forcing yourself to eat less, but because your hormones are balanced. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, stabilizes, and leptin, the hormone that tells you you're full, starts working again. Eating less often becomes easy because your body no longer depends on constant feeding to feel energized. The beauty of this approach is its simplicity. You don't have to count calories or restrict specific foods. You just need to control when you eat. Start by reducing snacking, then move to 2 or 3 balanced meals a day, and eventually experiment with a shorter eating window like 16:8 or even 1 meal a day if your body allows. Each step lowers insulin, boosts fat burning, and enhances cellular repair. The less often you eat, the more your body heals. You move from a state of dependency on food for energy to a state of metabolic freedom. Your body begins to work with you, not against you. And that's when true healing begins. The human body is built with two main energy systems, one that burns sugar and one that burns fat. Most people today are stuck in sugar burning mode because of constant eating and high carbohydrate diets. This means their energy depends on the next meal, the next snack, or the next coffee. When you rely on sugar for fuel, you experience quick bursts of energy followed by sharp crashes. Your blood sugar rises rapidly after eating, insulin spikes to control it, and soon after, it drops again, leaving you tired, hungry, and craving more sugar. It becomes a roller coaster that never stops. This is the state of a sugar burner, always chasing energy but never truly feeling satisfied. Your body constantly demands more glucose because it has lost access to its stored fat. In this mode, fat is locked away and the body refuses to tap into it, even though it's the most abundant source of energy you have. Becoming a fat burner means training your metabolism to switch from this unstable sugar dependence to a cleaner, more efficient fuel source, fat. Fat burning happens when insulin levels stay low for long enough that your body starts converting stored fat into ketones, which your brain and muscles can use for energy. Ketones burn smoothly, providing long-lasting energy without the crashes. They also generate less oxidative stress than glucose, meaning your body experiences less internal wear and tear. People who become fat burners often describe feeling lighter, more focused and calmer because their energy no longer fluctuates with every meal. Instead of needing to eat every few hours, they can go long stretches without hunger because their body is tapping into its built-in energy reserves. Switching from sugar to fat burning is not an overnight process. It begins by lowering carbohydrate intake, reducing meal frequency, and giving your body time to adapt. When insulin remains low, the body gradually learns to access fat stores. During this transition, some people may experience fatigue or cravings as their metabolism adjusts. This is temporary. Once the switch happens, your endurance increases dramatically. You wake up with steady energy and mental fog disappears because the brain thrives on ketones. This metabolic flexibility is what nature intended. For most of human history, we didn't have constant access to carbohydrates or processed snacks. The body evolved to run on fat between meals and to burn glucose only when necessary. Modern eating habits have broken that natural rhythm, but the good news is that you can restore it through consistent habits. Becoming a fat burner also has powerful effects on hormone balance. When your body relies on fat, it doesn't need to produce large amounts of insulin. Lower insulin means less fat storage, lower inflammation, and better sensitivity to hormones like leptin, which tells you when you're full. This is why people who eat nutrient-dense, high-fat, moderate protein diets find themselves naturally eating less. They're not forcing restriction. They're simply satisfied. The body stops sending false hunger signals because it's running on an abundant and reliable fuel source. In this state, cravings fade, energy stabilizes, and the stress on your metabolism decreases. One of the biggest misconceptions is that fat burning is only about weight loss. In truth, it's about energy efficiency and cellular health. When you burn fat, your mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, work more efficiently. They produce more energy per molecule of fuel and generate fewer byproducts that cause inflammation. Your brain benefits from this cleaner fuel. Your heart functions better and your muscles recover faster. You also experience a stronger sense of mental clarity and emotional stability because your body is no longer in constant survival mode. Transitioning to fat burning restores control over your appetite, stabilizes mood, and improves metabolic health. You stop being a prisoner to food, sugar, and energy crashes. Your body becomes self-sufficient, drawing from its own reserves whenever needed. That's real freedom, the ability to go through your day with steady energy, sharp focus, and a calm mind because your body has remembered how to do what it was designed for all along: burn fat for fuel. Every time you put something into your mouth, you make a decision that shapes your health. Most people think of eating as an automatic act, something done out of habit, convenience, or emotion, but food is information. Each bite sends a signal to your body that determines whether you move toward healing or toward imbalance. When you feed your cravings, you satisfy the short-term desire of your taste buds, but you ignore the long-term needs of your cells. Cravings are impulsive and emotional, while cellular nourishment is strategic and biological. The problem is that modern food is engineered to appeal to cravings, not to health. Processed foods, sugary snacks, and fast food are designed to trigger the brain's pleasure centers, giving you a rush of satisfaction while leaving your body empty. This is why you can eat a bag of chips or a slice of cake and still feel unsatisfied. Your brain got the dopamine hit, but your cells got nothing of value over time. This creates a body that is full but malnourished, energetic for a moment but exhausted hours later. Feeding your cells means thinking beyond flavor and focusing on function. Your cells need amino acids from protein to rebuild tissue, fatty acids to form healthy membranes, minerals to conduct electrical signals, and vitamins to drive metabolic reactions. When these needs are met, your body feels balanced, calm, and strong. You stop experiencing energy crashes, mood swings, and constant hunger because your system is running efficiently. However, when you eat mainly to satisfy cravings, you create metabolic chaos. Your blood sugar spikes and crashes, insulin stays elevated, and your hormones become confused. The body starts to store fat instead of burning it, and inflammation increases. You may think you're giving your body what it wants, but really, you're only silencing its distress signals temporarily. Every meal you eat is an opportunity to heal or to harm. When you reach for whole foods like vegetables, quality proteins, healthy fats, and natural fibers, you give your cells the raw materials they need to repair, detoxify, and produce clean energy. When you choose refined carbs, sugary drinks, and artificial foods, you flood your system with chemicals and empty calories that force your body to work harder for less reward. Over time, these decisions compound. Cellular damage accumulates slowly and quietly until symptoms appear as fatigue, brain fog, weight gain, or disease. The difference between someone thriving and someone struggling often comes down to the consistency of small choices. The body is incredibly resilient. It can heal if you stop overloading it with the wrong signals. One of the simplest ways to begin feeding your cells instead of your cravings is to pause before eating and ask yourself a question: what does my body need right now? Most cravings are not for food itself, but for energy or relief from stress. If you're tired, your body may need rest, hydration, or minerals. If you're anxious, it might need magnesium or stable blood sugar, not sugar or caffeine. Listening to your body requires awareness, and awareness creates discipline. Over time, this conscious approach rewires your relationship with food. You begin to notice that true nourishment brings long-lasting satisfaction, while feeding cravings brings only momentary pleasure followed by discomfort or guilt. When you consistently choose to feed your cells, your health begins to shift. Your metabolism becomes stable, your mind becomes clear, and your emotions become more balanced. You stop relying on willpower because your body stops screaming for quick fixes. It finally feels supported. This is how you regain control, not by restriction, but by alignment. Each meal becomes an act of respect for the intelligence of your body. The taste of real food starts to feel more satisfying than the temporary thrill of processed sugar. And soon, what used to feel like discipline becomes instinct because your body has remembered what it feels like to be nourished. Every bite counts, and every choice is a signal. When you choose your cells over your cravings, you're choosing long-term vitality over short-term pleasure. It's a simple shift in awareness that can transform the entire direction of your health and life.